Every empire in history took a shot at destroying Persia. Alexander, the Arabs, the Mongols, America. None of them finished the job. Alexander burned Persepolis to the ground in 330 BC. Arab armies erased the Persian Empire in 651 AD. The CIA overthrew Iran's government in 1953. And every time, something survived. The stone survived. The identity survived. In 2026, they tried again. 900 strikes in 12 hours. A supreme leader killed. The Strait of Hormuz closed. This civilization does not die when you conquer it. It absorbs you. 5,000 years of evidence. This is that story. In 550 BC, on the Iranian plateau, a tribal chief named Cyrus did the impossible. He united every tribe into one empire, without genocide. No one had done this before. Cyrus did not simply conquer, he absorbed. His empire was radical for its time. He allowed every conquered people to keep their religion, their language, their customs. He freed the Jews from Babylonian captivity. The Achaemenids built the Royal Road, 2,700 kilometers stretching from Anatolia to Susa. A postal relay system, a common currency, standardized weights. For the ancient world, this was the internet of its time. In 539 BC, Cyrus freed the Jewish people from captivity in Babylon. His decree, inscribed on a clay cylinder, is considered by historians as one of the earliest declarations of human rights. The Hebrew Bible calls him a shepherd, an anointed one of God.
In 330 BC, a young Macedonian king named Alexander defeated the last Achaemenid ruler, Darius III. He burned Persepolis. It seemed like the end of Persia. It was not. But cultures do not die when their buildings burn. Persian scholars, artists, and administrators scattered across the empire. They carried their language, their knowledge, their identity, and Persian culture survived by being too useful to destroy. Over the next 6 centuries, 2 great Iranian dynasties emerged, the Parthians and then the Sassanids. They pushed back against Rome. They rebuilt Persian culture from the ground up. The Sassanid Empire lasted 4 centuries. At its peak, it rivaled Rome and later Byzantium as the great power of the known world. Persian identity was back. Zoroastrianism was its spiritual foundation. Then, everything changed.
But empires do not fall only to enemies. By the early 7th century, the Sassanid Empire was exhausted. Decades of brutal warfare against Byzantium had drained its treasury and weakened its armies. A new religion, a new army, and a new world order was coming. In 636 AD, at the Battle of Al-Qadisiyah, Arab Muslim armies met the Sassanid Persian forces on a flat plain in what is now Iraq. The Arabs had momentum, conviction, and a new world to build. The battle lasted 4 days. Persia lost. Within 15 years, the entire Sassanid Empire had collapsed. The first Persian civilization was over. What happened next defies every expectation. Yes, Persia converted to Islam, but the Persians did not simply disappear into Arab culture. Instead, they did something extraordinary.
While Arab Islam governed politics and religion, Iranian dynasties like the Safavids quietly rebuilt Persian culture from the inside. And then came a poet who would do something no one had expected. Ferdowsi spent 30 years writing the Shahnameh, the Book of Kings, a 60,000-verse epic poem that preserved every Persian myth, king, and hero in the new Persian language. Persian was no longer just a spoken tongue, it was immortalized. This is what made Persia unique in history. Most civilizations, when conquered, either resist and are destroyed or submit and are absorbed. Persia did neither. Persia had been conquered politically, but it had conquered the conquerors culturally. And now a new chapter was about to begin.
In 1501,
a 14-year-old warrior king named Ismail took the city of Tabriz and declared himself Shah of Iran. He made a decision that would define Iran forever. He declared Twelver Shi'ism the official religion of the state. This was not simply a religious change. By forcing conversion to Shi'ism, Ismail created a clear Iranian identity, separate from the surrounding Sunni world. To be Iranian now was to be Shia. It was brilliant political engineering. Under Shah Abbas the Great in the early 1600s, Isfahan became one of the most beautiful cities in the world. The Imam Mosque, the Ali Kappu Palace, the Armenian Christian Quarter, a city of religious complexity in the heart of a Shia empire.
This is the Iran the Safavids built. Not just a political state, but a cultural nation. Persian language, Shia Islam, and pre-Islamic traditions like Nowruz, the Persian New Year celebrated since antiquity, were woven together into a single identity that no invasion, no regime change, no sanction has ever fully broken. When Iranians today gather around the Haftzin table at the spring equinox, lighting candles and placing goldfish and mirrors and wheat sprouts in their places, they are continuing a tradition that existed before Islam. By the early 20th century, Iran had something the world wanted desperately: oil. The Anglo-Persian Oil Company, controlled almost entirely by the British government, extracted billions in profit. Iran received almost none of it. In 1951, Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh nationalized Iran's oil industry. He was not a revolutionary or a religious extremist. He was a democratically elected lawyer who believed Iran's resources should belong to Iran. The Iranian people celebrated. Britain and America did not.
In August 1953, the CIA and British intelligence services launched Operation Ajax, a covert coup against Mossadegh's elected government. They paid street gangs to riot, bribed military officers, and used the Iranian media they controlled. Iranians have not forgotten this. Ever. The Shah launched the White Revolution, a rapid modernization program that built universities, gave women the right to vote, and transformed Iran into a regional power. But the wealth was concentrated. The political opposition was silenced, and the secret police were everywhere. Progress had been purchased with repression. By 1978, Iran was on fire, not with weapons, but with protest. Millions marched. Factory workers went on strike. Bazaar merchants closed their shops. An entire nation unified for the first time in decades against one man. On February 1st, 1979, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini landed at Tehran airport. 6 million people came to the streets. Within days, the Islamic Republic was declared. A new constitution placed ultimate power in the hands of a supreme leader. The experiment in Islamic governance had begun. In September 1980, Saddam Hussein's Iraq invaded Iran. The Iran-Iraq War would last 8 years and leave both countries devastated. For Iran's new Islamic Republic, the invasion was unwelcome proof of something they had suspected. The international community, led by the US, was backing their enemy. Out of that war, the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, evolved from a revolutionary militia into one of the region's most powerful military forces. They also developed a strategy that would shape the next 40 years. Rather than fight enemies directly, build a network of allied armed groups across the region.
Hezbollah in Lebanon, Shia militias in Iraq, groups in Syria, the Houthis in Yemen. Iran spent 4 decades and billions of dollars building what it called the axis of resistance. And then there was the nuclear question. Iran had been building its nuclear program since the 1950s, first with American help under the Shah, then secretly after 1979. By the 2000s, international inspectors were finding evidence of uranium enrichment beyond civilian needs. In 2015, the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal, was signed. Iran agreed to severe limits on enrichment and intrusive international inspections in exchange for sanctions relief. 3 years later, the United States walked away from it. Iran began enriching uranium again, further and faster than before. The sanctions crushed ordinary Iranians. The rial lost 80% of its value in a decade. Medicine became hard to import. Young engineers and doctors left the country by the hundreds of thousands. The leadership stayed. The people paid the price. But Iran's nuclear program did not stop. Between 2019 and 2023, Iranians took to the streets repeatedly. The government suppressed them. But the protests revealed something that outside observers often missed. The Iranian government and the Iranian people are not the same thing. Many disagree with their government profoundly.
But what almost all Iranians agreed on, even those who opposed the Islamic Republic, was that Iran's sovereignty was not negotiable. And when external pressure came, it only made the government stronger. Then came February 2026, and everything changed. In February 2026, Operation Epic Fury began. Nearly 900 strikes in 12 hours. The supreme leader was killed. A girls' school was hit. The world watched and asked, will this be the end? Iran retaliated. Waves of ballistic missiles and drones were fired at Israeli cities and at American military bases in the Gulf states of Bahrain, Qatar, and the UAE. Iron Dome and Patriot systems intercepted most, not all. In response, Iran shut the Strait of Hormuz. 20% of the world's oil transits this passage. The blockade entered its third month. Oil prices surged. Food supply chains strained. When crisis in the Strait of Hormuz shook the markets, the impact reached far beyond the Middle East. Oil prices surged. Within days, the pressure reached ordinary streets, long lines at petrol stations, and families in many countries paying the cost of a conflict they never started. Peace talks in Islamabad continue as this video is being made. The outcome is unknown. The question is, can any negotiation erase 5,000 years? And through all of it, through the airstrikes and the blockade and the breakdown of talks, the ordinary Iranians, not the IRGC, the woman knitting on her steps, the same people who descended from the same land that Cyrus governed, that Ferdowsi sang about, that Safavid architects built in turquoise and blue. Cyrus built the largest empire the world had ever seen and called it a home for all peoples. And in 2026, bombs fell on cities that Alexander burned and rebuilt. The names change. The weapons change. The civilization does not. This is not a prediction. This is a pattern. The story is still being written. Subscribe. The story is still being written.